This film completely blew me away. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie, and it's the last night in Soho. Before I get into this review, guys, if you already haven't, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm also on Twitter and TikTok, so if you're on any of those platforms, please hit me up. I must say I really enjoyed this movie. Anya Taylor-Joy, watching her in The Queen's Gambit, I just thought she was absolutely incredible, but she just still really surprised me in this movie. She can not only act, but my God, she is an amazing singer. I think when I was walking home, all I could think about was the soundtrack, and all day, literally as I've been working today, all I've been doing is listening to the soundtrack, and I think it's absolutely amazing. If you already haven't, check the soundtrack out. It's on YouTube. It's brilliant. You won't be disappointed. Thomasin McKenzie, I think, wow, she's really cool. She's such a cool actor. Like, watching this, you kind of think, is she putting on that voice? But I will remember listening to an interview from her this morning, and that's pretty much her voice. But she really did the role justice. I was really surprised. The fact that she's kind of like an introverted extrovert, she's kind of a person that kind of keeps to herself. She's very countryside girl. She's not really for the big city, and you can kind of see that in this film. You kind of see her like, oh, she's really excited to go to London, but it's not really all it's kind of cracked up to be. She kind of meets a few friends, realise they're just pretty much city kids, you know, and she's just not like that. They're all into partying and stuff like that, and you can see that's just not what she's into at all, and it's just not what she expected. I just found it really interesting the way they painted a picture of London and perceived it to be this kind of dark, clubby kind of atmosphere environment, in which it is. You can actually find that in London, but there's just so much more to it. But I guess, you know, that's kind of set up for the whole film, and it was just so interesting to see what they changed in London, because like I said before, I know London very well, so it was really very interesting how they'd kind of set everything up for the film. With Thomasin McKenzie, I mean, I don't know too much about her, but I found her character very interesting. It's pretty much a very psychological horror. It doesn't really feel like that watching the trailer, but it does feel really intense. And I like the trailer because it doesn't show everything like in the film, because you know, with some of these trailers it's almost like, well, that's the film, you don't really need to watch the film because it's all in the trailer. But it's not like that in this film at all. It's just completely different. Like the cliffhanger at the end, like, was just kind of really surprising to me, and I kind of like that within this film. And you've got Dianna Rigg in this movie as well, and her character really surprised me. This is completely spoiler free because it is still quite a new film, and I know there's probably a lot of you out there which have not seen it. If you have, I'd love to hear your comments about what you thought about the movie. But yeah, it was a very interesting cast, and you even had Matt Smith in this movie as well, and he plays quite a small character, but it was kind of cool to see him in this. He's obviously been in The Crown, and he's obviously Doctor Who, but yeah, the character he played in this was quite a small character, but yeah, I think he did what he did really well. I mean, everybody was really good acting wise. I mean, you can't really fault the acting in this film at all. You know, the whole scenery, the way it's shot was just really crisp and beautiful. And I'm probably a bit biased, but you know, the scenery was pretty much amazing. It was just, I know I've said it before, but it was just so nice just to kind of see London, you know, from a different point of view. I mean, I've got the way I perceive London, and I love London. I've lived here for 8 years. Yeah, I'm probably biased, but there is more to life than Soho. I mean, I pretty much spend the majority of my time in Soho. I work in Soho. I socialise with my friends in Soho. I mean, I did live in Waterloo for a while, which was like 20 minutes down the road, so it was nice to just kind of go over Westminster Bridge and see the Thames and the lights, and you know, so it is a magical place. You know, I couldn't really see myself living anywhere else. One of the things I really did enjoy about this movie was seeing all the flashbacks of what life was like back in the 60s for London. Now, I mean, obviously I don't know. I mean, I'm 31. I mean, I've no idea, but it just looked so vibrant. But you can definitely see in this movie that it was just so hard for a lot of people, especially like women trying to earn a living, and you know, women just weren't respected at that point in time. You know, when they were trying to find work, a lot of men would treat them as just property. Really, it was just so upsetting to see how men would treat women at that point, like working and just treating them like a big scrap of meat, basically. So anyway, you've got Thomasin McKenzie, and she's played by a character called Eloise, or Ellie. Now, we all know from the beginning that her mother dies. Sorry, spoiler, but anyway. So, this trip to London is kind of a trip down memory lane for her. She was there with her mother, and she's obviously there doing her education. She's studying fashion. And obviously, her friends, they just start picking on her. They end up giving her something she shouldn't be taking in this club. And she starts seeing all these weird things around London, like spirits. She's having all these weird dreams. And you kind of just feel like from anybody else's point of view, it's almost like she's just going crazy, and everybody else can just see it, that she's not in her head, she's crazy, and she just wants to understand what's going on. So she starts investigating all of this, realizing that this is something that definitely happened in the past, and this is what she kind of starts to research into. You've got Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's played by a character called Sandy, and Sandy, she's in these dreams that Ellie's having, and she just doesn't quite know who she is. Now, as a viewer, you kind of think that, is she Sandy? You know, she like Ellie, she kind of sees herself as Sandy, like in her dreams, and even like her style, like she changes her style just like Sandy, and you just start thinking like, what is this? Was this her mother? Was this what her mother was going through? Because you get a sense that her mother was pretty much insane, because every time her friends would say to Ellie like, oh, what happened to your mom? Oh, she died. She went a little bit kind of crazy. So obviously Ellie is kind of thinking, is she going crazy as well? But obviously that's not really the case. I really don't want to spoil it, but anyway. But Sandy, no, she's in a dream. She's in on all of her visions, and Ellie, she's trying to research into Sandy to find out what actually happened to her, because all these dreams, all these visions, they're not pleasant. You know, it's quite graphical actually, and this is what got really intense, especially towards the end. But she does obviously understand what was going on, and that cliffhanger at the end was just like, wow. This is definitely a film I would definitely want to watch again, just for the soundtrack especially, but again, just to kind of get like a recap and understanding of what actually was going on. And obviously knowing what happened in the end, you can kind of get a grasp on the whole reality from start to finish, knowing what the ending was going to be. But I suppose that's just what it's like with every movie. But anyway, I'm rambling. Anyway, I definitely enjoy a film when you're kind of watching it thinking or even knowing what the ending's going to be, and then it's just not what you expected. And I love that in a movie. And this was definitely one of those movies. Like one of those cliffhangers, you're like, I didn't really see that coming. And I really didn't. You know, I really didn't see what was going on. Thinking back to it, especially watching as she kind of goes to London and starts having all these visions, and obviously everything going on with Sandy, you finally get it. But I just found it really strange that like Ellie, she was pretty much in the right places at the right time. But I suppose with all these visions, it's what kind of led her to go to these places. But anyway, guys, I'd love to know what your thoughts about it are. If you've watched it, please comment below and let me know. If you've not seen it, I would definitely recommend it. I would definitely give this film, you know, it's been so difficult rating all these movies, but I would definitely give it definitely a high rating. I'd definitely say maybe a 9 out of 10, you know. This is obviously a new movie. Is there room for improvement? Probably not. Acting was completely flawless. Oh, sorry, I'll just give it a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for full marks. But anyway, guys, if you already haven't, please subscribe to the channel. Please send me your comments. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. And all the best. And I hope everyone had a really good Halloween. I did. I was in Soho, believe it or not. But yeah, have a good one, guys, and take care.